In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can build a dog house that will keep your dogs cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Plus, as a bonus, you're going to get a little lid so you can access the entire space to your dog house. But before I do that, I'm going to show you how I feed my dogs. You guys ready? You ready? Okay, come on. Wait. Okay, now let's get started. You guys are crazy. I went to Home Depot and I bought my plywood and I had them cut each piece at 3 feet by 4 feet. That's going to be for the bottom and the top and the front and the back. In all 4 corners I will attach the plywood to my 2x3s, which will also be attached to the bottom plywood. Then I will flip the doghouse over and put my 2x3s underneath to elevate the doghouse off the ground. This is going to be a recurring theme throughout the entire build. I'm going to drill pilot holes and then follow them up with 1.5-inch screws. I'm starting with the back of the doghouse. As you see, I'm holding the plywood in place with a clamp while I attach the plywood to the 2x3s all the way around. Then I flip the doghouse over so I can put the 2x3s on the 2 remaining sides. This is going to ensure that the base is extremely solid. Just like before, I'm going to pre-drill the holes and then follow that up with drilling in the screws. To ensure the safety of your dogs, you want to make sure you either countersink the screws or drill them beneath the surface. Now it's time to cut out the front door of the doghouse. First, I found the center and I marked it with an X. Then I decided to make my opening 2 feet tall by 1.5 feet. Obviously, you want to measure your dogs and come up with an opening that works best for you. Then simply trace that out and then we're ready to start cutting. Next, I used the edge of a large bucket to trace out the opening so I could have a rounded style entryway for my dogs. Then I elevated the plywood off the ground and I drilled 4 pilot holes in each corner. You want to make sure that each pilot hole is big enough to fit the bit. Get your jigsaw out, put in a wood cutting bit, and then let's cut the entryway out. Get your jigsaw and start cutting. Right now you can see that the house is coming into form. So I have my 2 clamps and now I'm about to attach it to the rest of the frame. Again, I'm do the same thing. I'm drill pilot holes and then screw it in. So next, I'm attaching the sides. I just used this 2x3 to draw a straight line down to make sure I screw into the studs. I have a big overhang because later I'll come back and use my reciprocating saw to cut the excess off. Then I just screwed the bottom and then I was done with both of the sides. As of right now, the structure is very rigid. It's very stiff and tight already, and I don't even have the other side or the top on. And it's not that heavy because I used 1/2-inch plywood and 2x3s. Next, I decided to put 1 more 2x3 underneath the plywood so that it wouldn't sag ever. Like I did on the side, I used my 2x3 to give me a straight line so I would know where to drill. Now I'm going to flip it over and drill the 2x3 on. So I turned it on its side so you can see the 2x3 on the bottom, and I'm using that clamp to hold it. Now I'm simply going to screw it in and then I'll be done with the structural support, do the side, and then it's time to move to the top. Now it's time to put the top on the doghouse. So I have my table saw and I'm going to cut the 2x4 to length. Every time I use my table saw, I make the blade about a 1/4 inch higher than the wood that I'm cutting to make sure that nothing bad happens. I have on eye protection, ear protection, and breathing protection. As of right now, this is what the doghouse looks like. I have some of the insulation already in, so I cut it, and I'm gonna take the scrap slats that I have, and I'm gonna go from the back support to the front support, and I'm gonna stagger it, and that's primarily so that my dogs won't chew it up. As you see, they like to chew. They like to chew. This is after a few hours, so to eliminate them from chewing, I'm gonna take these little slats and install it so that they can't get to it. As I'm talking, he's chewing right now. Hey. The reason why I went with the R-Tech Insul foam is because of the advantages. It's moisture resistant, insect and mold resistant, adaptable, cuts and handles very easy, and is extremely lightweight. Continuous insulation reduces air infiltration and thermal bridging, excellent versatility and durability, 100% warranted thermal R value. That is what I really like about it. When you put it in, it blocks the wind and airflow 100%. Now, this stuff is pretty big to actually bring home. If you don't have a truck or an SUV, I'll actually leave a link to where you can get something very similar and you just roll it up. To show you how big the opening is, I decided to climb on through so I could attach the plywood and secure the insulation so the dogs can't get to it. As you see, the doghouse is going to be very big. It should accommodate them for a nice long while. Really, guys, you know I'm trying to build your house right now, and I'm shooting a video. You think you could, go outside so I could finish up? Think you could do that? You think you could go outside? I want you guys to go outside so I can finish up. Really? Alright. So I'm just going to take the screws and screw the pieces in to hold the insulation. All the paneling has been installed over the insulation. The paneling acts as two-part. One, to keep the insulation from falling out, and the other is to keep the dogs from getting to the insulation. So this is in the front, and all I have to do is put the last one up, and then the insulation will be done, and then I'll just put the top on. With the top, I'm going to use hinges so that this will open and I can have access to clean out the doghouse at any time. Before I attach the top, I'm going to take my reciprocating saw and trim off the excess on all the sides, the front and the back. Then I'm going to take my belt sander and go around the entire doghouse and sand all the edges smooth. Then I put in the last piece of insulation and set the lid with the hinges already attached on top. Then I attached the lid to the 2x3s and I was all done with the top. Now you can see the dogs are enjoying their new house. In the daytime when it's warm, I have the lid open, and at night I close it, and it has been averaging roughly 10 degrees warmer with the insulation. Right now it's nighttime and my dogs are in there. You can see their reflective colors, and I have my infrared thermometer. I'm going to scan the outside. The outside is 53 degrees, and I'm scanning some wood on the inside, and it's 62 degrees. My dogs have been in there for roughly 20 minutes, and it's already made that big of a difference. Okay, I'm all finished with the doghouse, and so far it has worked perfectly. The overall dimensions of the house is 4 feet wide by 3 feet tall by 3 feet deep. I made it a lot bigger than my dogs, but they're puppies right now and they're shepherd mixes, so they should grow into the house. I put a flat roof on it because I'm under a patio, so it's never going to be exposed to the elements, rain, snow, or anything like that. The size of it right now is perfect because these two, as you see, they really like to wrestle and play, and they do that in the house and they roll around. So the size has worked out just fine. I like the fact that I made the lid flat so I can just lift it up anytime I need to go in and clean the house out or put a new bed in or whatever the case. The insulation has worked out better than I thought. It keeps the house at least 10 degrees warmer each night than the outside of the house. So the insulation has worked. If you want your dog to be warm, put some insulation in. I haven't painted it yet because it's winter and I just wanted to get the house up to give my dog something warm to sleep in. So I'm going to leave all the specs in the description below. But if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Be sure to get back at you guys. You guys have a good one. Thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. If you know anyone that has a dog, or if you know anyone that would be interested in keeping their dog warm in the winter, then share this video with them. If you find it interesting, maybe they would too. Again, I appreciate your time. You guys have a good one. Ready to get down? Come on, let's get down.